Yeah, video games. I love video games. I learned so much from video games. I play them. I play them I play them on. If I beat one level, I go to the next.
Mhm.
And I've always been that kind of mindset too. It's like I go to the hardest level, you can possibly go to, and video games are something that I incorporate into my training in this life. And so I know that there. I mean, I'm constantly training, and still, I mean, I'm not in the military, and I don't want to be, because I experienced that, and I don't want to be in the military. But obviously, I'm still involved with my SSP experience, and I've been approached, by people because I and know they're going to want me to get recruited, and I've been approached by people in my life, that are part of the program that are, getting ready to probably get me to sign up again. So
There's always a temptation to re sign up, re up, basically, as the military term is, re up, redeployed. You're
right,
getting redeployed. There's always offers. I had a few of the TR3Bs circling my house in Kelowna when I moved, more so than in South Surrey. And I got a psychic contact from a guy named Aaron from the lower military industrial complex. He was piloting the TR3B, and he gave me a bunch of information about what they're doing in the Arctic and Antarctica, that they have those drone ships. That's how they deliver cargo, and they could be either manned with people on it, or remotely. So that was interesting. He's like, go read this article. The Canadian Royal Air Force, they're using these drones in secret. So I was like, okay. And I actually went and looked up the link that he gave me, and there it was. There was the article with the images of how these hover cars and drones look like, and they deliver cargo for the bases in Antarctica. I was like, holy moly, Aaron is for real. He's legit.
yeah, yeah. That is that when you get those experiences, when you get the confirmation, it just makes it even more real. I know I've had because I'm obviously still involved in this. I know I'm getting taken probably every single night, and because I have memories of recent memories of being in Antarctica,
Mm.
and being down there, and being on a base, and having to evacuate the base because there was some, because there was military vehicles, and I remember I got to get out of here pretty much. And so I know that there's a lot going on in Antarctica right now, and that obviously yeah, it's
Yeah, I was taken to Antarctica as well. That's where I had part of my assassin training, with the ICC, Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate. That was years ago. But I remember being there, and I still get pieces and memories of Antarctica. And I wouldn't be surprised if sometimes I'm like, I put a block that they can't take me. Like, I've canceled out the contract with them, but I get a feeling that they tried to take me as well, put me back into Antarctica. And I remember Rochelle Stannenforth contacted me, the lady from Australia, the SSB experiencer, and she's been to Korea in a mission
yeah.
up
I
for.
I know Rochelle, and that was because when she had that memory of the mission op in Korea, the same night I had a memory of being infiltrated into a power plant like type environment, and there being Asian type people around me, and my I remember my cover had been blown. Someone, they knew about who I was, and I had to get out of there. I'm always having to get out of places, and and then I just found it very coincidental that she had that memory recall of being in North Korea with the radioactive sign, and these things come together, and I've had memory recalls with her in it as well, for missions, and that the group's getting a lot bigger.
Yeah, and she contacted me through FB Messenger, and she's like, Ileana, I'm concerned that somebody is boarding the cigar-shaped asteroid craft. She's like, can you remote view it? Please, can you remote view it and check? And I'm like, I don't want to remote view it. I don't want to do this because they'll co-opt me into the SSP again. And I think it did happen when I remote viewed it and when I found those beings in stasis, the Dorians. They had like tall beings with silver skin, smooth silver skin, and blue hair, male and female. One of the groups was Dorians. They were in stasis. It wasn't their ship originally because their ship was damaged in solar storms, so they boarded that floating cigar-shaped craft of the ancient builder race. And I'm like, Rochelle, I don't want to do this. I don't want to remote view it. And she's like, please, this is important. This is urgent. They're boarding the ship. I think they're going to harm the beings on it. And I said, okay, I'll remote view it. And I saw that they were in stasis and that the stasis pods were protected by electrical fields. So the SSP exploration units that boarded the craft, they could not open the stasis pods at all, so the beings were safe. But they were trying to engage the navigation systems to see the navigation logs where the Dorians had traveled before they went into stasis, and they were locked out. So Rochelle was there when I did the remote viewing, and I think what happened is they co-opted me into the boarding party, into the exploring the ship as well, because I remember seeing the ship vividly, what the ship looks like, what the beings on it look like, and then 2 weeks later, well, you probably read David Wilcox's post.
I know about that situation.
Yeah, and I had posted my remote viewing session on December 13th in the Secret Space Program secret group that you're part of, I'm part of, Rochelle is part of, and seeing David Wilcox's post and Corey Good's post on December 25th, 2017, exact same information, like, man. And Corey said, well, I saw this from a video that they showed me. And Rochelle's like, that's the exact same information that you remote viewed. You were probably on that mission up. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. It could have been leaked. It could have been, I could have been there on the mission, or I'm just a good remote viewer. I'm not going to say anything what the possibility is of the scenario, but like we end up, I think they co-opt us and we end up on the same missions together. That's the point of this.
That definitely resonates what you're saying, but it doesn't resonate that. I mean, it's coincidental that your information would, I mean, come up. You know, it's like, what if you didn't remote view that? Would that be there? You know, which is that's kind of interesting because who would even have the idea to remote view that asteroid coming in? You know, and why would they have that idea? You know, and that unless you were you know aware of something that was going on and part of something to try to stop something from happening.
Yeah, well, I was interested in it in October when they first brought it up in the news. I was like, huh, that's not an asteroid, that's a ship. And
Right.
I
Yeah.
actually I gathered all the articles about it, and I did a newsfeed video about it. So the interest had been there already 3 weeks before doing the remote viewing, and I published that on my YouTube channel, what I thought it was and read from the articles. Um, and then Rochelle contacted me and she's like, I'll back you up on the remote viewing that I asked you to do this. You can actually release my name because she thought there was going to be backlash for the remote viewing. And 2 weeks later, David's and Corey's stuff is released as Corey seeing the video of a boarding party going on the ship. And that's what Rochelle was concerned. That's what she was mentally seeing going on the ship live. And she's like, well, what's going on? You remote viewed that. Were you on the ship? Like, are they being safe? And I said, yeah, they're safe. Then they boarded the ship. They looked around. They couldn't get much out of it, so they had to let the ship go and continue on its course to wherever the beings are going. So the SSP had to let the ship go because they can't hold the ship. They're able to take some stuff off the ship, and they did, but that was another boarding party. The ICC boarded the ship prior to October, and they took stuff off the ship, valuable stuff. And then there was the second boarding party, the MIC party. So there was two boarding parties, but not at the same time.
That's an very, I mean, that's interesting. Definitely an interesting situation because, I mean, if of course the information about the boarding party, you know, where would you get that? And if it is true, I'm gonna have to look deeper into, you know, that what they're where they're getting their information from, because if it's from your remote viewing, um, that would be like stealing if that, you know, somehow they were able to get, you know, access to your information, which is definitely not okay.
Yeah, I agree with
So
you. It's
yeah.
it's it's not okay. They did say there's three different types of beings. Corey mentioned three beings. I remember one set of beings, but many stasis pods. So there's like the whole ship is full of stasis pods.
And the thing is that's coming to me now is obviously we got access to different information. You know, he's part of the group that he's part of, the SSP group that he's part of. You know, and there are different SSP groups, so
Hmm.
he could be releasing, you know, his information of what he has of that situation. You know.
Yeah, and because I admit there was two different boarding parties. There was the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate boarding party, which actually entered the ship prior to October, before it was even announced that there was an asteroid cigar-shaped ship passing by. And then the MIC went in later, after October. So it's like two different boarding parties were there, and Rochelle picked up on the MIC ones. I knew that there was a one of the SSP boarding parties, and I didn't say which one, even though I knew which both of them were on. I just said SSP Exploration Unit boarded. I knew there was two boarding parties, separate ones, and at separate dates, but I didn't go into specifics. And I did say that the ship itself was over 1.5 billion years, and that the Dorians had been on it for a million years. So there's separate dates there, and Corey Stephen David says 1 billion years. So that's interesting. I mean, I took screenshots of Corey's article and what I posted in the SSP group, which is a private group. So Corey's not in the group, I know that, but there could be various scenarios. I'm not saying somebody leaked anything from the group. It could be a possibility. We don't know. It could be that I was on one of the boarding parties or just good at remote viewing. So no blame is going anywhere out there because we really don't know what it is.
Yeah, no, I agree with you and hear you and am with you on that. The no blames going anywhere, but I understand that what's going on with that. But I mean, that is quite an amazing remote view.
Yeah, and it's Rochelle. It's all Rochelle really, because I didn't really want to remote view it. I already knew, like realistically, I knew that it was a ship. The shape, that cigar shape, that's common dark fleet, um, cigar shaped craft and solar warden. So the commonality of the cigar ship shape, the elongated ship, that's common in the SSP. So
Right.
right off the bat, I knew that's a ship. I didn't even need to remote view it to know that it's not an asteroid. I already knew. But it's all Rochelle standing for. She asked for the remote viewing. It wasn't me that asked for it, and I knew that there was two boarding parties. I don't know how I knew, but I already knew even before the remote viewing. And I told her the beings on that ship are fine. Don't worry, the SP didn't get to them. They can't. But she's like, can you see further details? I want more details. Who the beings are, what happened to their craft, what is this cigar shaped craft? So she was very specific in what she wanted to know because she just had a bad feeling. So it wasn't even my idea to do the remote viewing. I did it for her because she's a good person and she's SSP. So, and I trust her, and she didn't say anything to anybody. We agreed that the remote viewing would stay private in the group. It wasn't supposed to go public, but um, I thought I'd just share what I know from my back end of this whole story.
Yeah, it's good to have everybody, to clear it up, whatever, needs to happen to just clear it up as much as it can be cleared up. But um, as far as we're all on the same team here, for disclosure. Just obviously we're working with something here that is very sensitive, you know, but it's something that is this world is we're part of enlightening this world to and getting them ready for it, because it's pretty soon the veil's going to come down, when all these asteroids are, these ships are passing by, asteroid ships, and they're trying to whatever in the mainstream media say whatever they're doing, but they can't deny them anymore. They can't say that they're not happening, because these things are appearing in the sky, and all these events, all these things are happening around, and there'll be a time where they're not able to deny it or make up stories anymore. And it's going to be like people like us, the people that have been part of the UFO community, the super soldier community, that are going to be looked to for information and understanding and knowledge about what's going on. So that's obviously part of the light workers mission here, is to, in the midst of just absolute, obviously, chaos, is to hold the light of understanding, because and that takes knowledge and of the truth, which in for this world, what I've understood is we want to ascend, not descend, and we're coming to the end of a cycle, of a 26,000 year cycle,
Mm-hmm.
from the last times of Atlantis. The cycle is 13,000 years, and then it's another 13,000, and the last 13,000 years have been darkness. And obviously, when the next 13,000 years comes, it's going to be light, and that's where we've moved into. And light obviously comes with, like, the truth. And I know that I've been what I'm doing here, and that's getting ready for what's happening.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Same for me. It's like the darkness has had its time. Now it's time for us to illuminate what's been hidden and to reveal it, to forgive it, and to make it public.
I agree completely. I was just gonna say, did you just want to keep this one at an hour?
Um,
And
I actually had some questions for you, a little bit of because you were in the military and you're still put into the secret space program missions. Have you ever worn smart suit armor by any chance?
I have had memories. I don't know what exactly smart suit armor is, but I have had memories of wearing the armor that you have described, in my missions, and being in very many different types of scenarios where I'm being shot at. And obviously things are deflecting off of me, and um, you know it's very highly advanced armor, and like you explained, it was blue and silver, or blue and gray, like, I think it was blue and silver.
It was grayish black in the Earth Alliance op, but sometimes it is grayish blue black, like mixture of different color. So, and I've seen different types of colored armor, but the thing is, like, what I remember, the interplanetary corporate conglomerate is making silver suits, like body fitting suits that deflect bullets.
Yeah, I've had memories of different types of armors and stuff. Actually, last night I had a memory because I know I'm with the Alliance, and I had a memory where, I don't know, this could have been happening right on where we were celebrating, and I was with a whole bunch of other Alliance members, and we were in Alliance armor, and it was a white kind of armor, but I was definitely with the Alliance, and the Alliance is a positive faction.
Hmm.
That's what I really want to get through, is because there are positive factions, and I also know I'm involved with the White Dragon Society as well, and training, training who I train for the White Dragon Society, because people are wondering, how are all these people being apprehended, right? How are all these people being apprehended? And the White Dragon Society definitely has a hand in what's going on in the shadows.
Oh, yeah, because there's so much torture going on, like slavery and torture of children, women, men, and they're put into these torture chambers like SSP operatives and prisoners, and they're tortured heavily. Um, there's beatings, there's burnings, there's electric shock, being whipped with electric whips and stuff like that. That's something I have from my memories. Hands being cut off and then reattached and then electrocuted as well. It's disgusting. People swimming in the wet rooms in their own blood. Like, filled, the wet room is filled to the top, to the brim with water, and they've been tortured and they're swimming in their blood from wounds, like literally for hours. It's despicable. So and these types of operations are being taken out. So an operative's being trained to take out this type of operations, the torture and the slavery.
Yeah, the justice is definitely getting served, and it does take a force to do that, and I know that I'm part of that force, because I do have memories of being involved with a lot of special operatives, and these guys are like, no joke. They're the elite of the elite, and I'm obviously involved with being on the team, and we have conversations, about things, and yeah, there's a special force doing some work behind the scenes to take out these pedophiles, and these torturers, these child slave, labor rings, and all of this complete evil on the earth, because you want to get angry, of course, about it, but it's going to take, like you said, understanding why this is happening, and actually somehow forgiving, and forgiveness comes with not killing. I've understood that in my SSP experience. I'm What I was told by Peter, of course, and this is what I'm experiencing, is I asked him what I was doing, and he's like, you did all the bad stuff in the beginning for Monarch, but what you're doing now, you're doing good things now, and who I'm involved with only kills if it's absolutely necessary, and those are my morals. That's what I agree with, and I've had memories now, where that are coming back to me, where I believe I made the choice and the switch not to kill anymore, because I had a memory where I was given an order to kill something, and I said no, and because obviously that has to do with spiritual work as well, because I'm doing tons of spiritual work, to get it to, and obviously understanding that killing and anger and frustration and doubt and fear and all those things are part of what we're trying to get rid of. And I don't want to kill anymore. And I've had the memory where I made that choice, and they actually started attacking me, and then I defended myself, and then I woke up. So
And I have the weapons training but I choose to not use those weapons on a regular basis because what you're trained to do. And whoa, I'm hearing
I'm
somebody
I'm
else.
I'm sorry. Like the heater. I'm in a room with a heater, and it
Okay,
turned on. Yeah.
that's
Sorry
okay.
about that. It goes for about like 7 minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's
Can,
fine.
yeah. Can you still hear it?
Yeah, I could hear like, but that's okay. It's stopped now. So I choose not to use the weapons, not to train too much with them because I just don't want to be in that of being fascinated with the weaponry. Like, I mean, I did that in the SSP. They trained me as an assassin. I don't want to kill people either. Um, I have the weaponry. I just choose not to use it too much, just for target practice sometimes. But that's it. I don't want to go overboard obsessively with weapons.
I understand that because I mean weapon. I mean actually, it is the thing behind the weapon that does the killing. But weapons can. But I've actually incorporated weapons training into my art. So I'm training with all kinds of weapons, and but I obviously have the will and control to not use them to harm, which harmlessness is obviously a way to understanding and mastery. And I don't want to harm anyone or anything. Like I hear about the monks that walk on the hills that the ants move for them because they know they're
Mm-hmm.
coming because they don't harm a thing, and that's really what I want to get to, that level of living, because I know I've done that in the past life. I know I've been a monk. I've been involved with secret societies. I'm not going to say secret societies, but mystery schools,
Mm-hmm.
in my past lives, and I'm involved in it in this life, and taking that knowledge and continuing it on. And I'm obviously waking up to that every day, which it is a magical life.
It is, and it's choosing wisely how you live your life and what you do with it. I mean, from your when you were in the military, like, do you still have firearms or?
Well, the thing is if I were to, I'm going to be starting firearms training very extensively when I'm going to be starting some extensive firearms training, like John Wick style, because I already can imagine it in my head. So, you
Yeah,
know,
because I cart around a collection, so it's storage could be a the B word. It's because you have to take there's certain protocols for storing firearms and safes and stuff. You can't have it out and lying about. Canadian laws for firearm storage are strict, like strict. You do it wrong and you get it's taken away. You never get it back. Is basically how it works. One strike and it's gone.
yeah, I can imagine that they would be pretty, pretty strict with that. So, but once I start, because I do have a plan to start some things. I'm gonna start getting involved in that. So
Well,
I can't wait because I do love firearms too.
Well,
So
once you have a collection, you need cameras on your house and you need an alarm system because if somebody breaks in, they'll go after your weapons first. Uh,
right, yeah. That's yeah. It's kind of you have to deal with whatever comes with carrying.
and especially if you have an expensive collection, make sure you have surveillance cameras outside your apartment, your house, an alarm system because if you're going to be robbed, they'll go for your collection and your bike, your motorcycle. Like I know somebody who that's happened to. They almost lost their collection because it wasn't properly stored. So,
Yeah,
ouch.
yeah. I will definitely do that. I'll take that advice.
Well, those people learn the hard way. Get
Yep.
surveillance. Once you have a collection, get your surveillance in order. Get cameras. Have it on your cell phone that you can access the webcam. The outside cameras outside the house or apartment, and make sure you see on your cell phone what's going on around your place, because it's like,
No, that's what I'm is your place is your kingdom, your throne. You need to have it surveilled. You need to have the moats around.
yeah,
I mean, because it's your place. And I mean, in the days to come, with what's happening, which is the breakdown of 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 the system. I mean, literally, that's what is happening. Is the Federal Reserve's gone.
yeah,
The system is breaking down, and Trump knows this. These people know this, and they've been obviously have another system in place to implement. That's been being implemented as what's the word, as can be, to create the less shock for people. But there still is going to be shock, when the true changeover happens, and you're going to want to have your stuff locked in, and everything secure, definitely, because the times are coming.
yeah. The pitchforks and the times are definitely coming, and people's reactions will be different. Some will take their pitchforks and like, and some are like, okay, you've told us the truth, forgive and forget. So you don't know which camp is which, and there'll be both. I wish it was all peaceful and quiet, but there will be people who are like, oh my, what the effing, and they're gonna get the pitchfork and they're gonna they want to do that, but that's not the right way to do it. You have to voice your opinion without physical violence.
And those people are going to show themselves, because when it's shown, they're going to react from their anger. All the stuff that they didn't get through is going to be brought up, and those people are going to, would that have gun, because everybody wants to carry guns, but what's behind the gun, and then those people that have the anger that they didn't get through, when this is all revealed, are going to want to go shoot somebody, because that's
Yeah.
what they talked about. I mean, and that's hopefully, that's not going to happen at a massive scale or anything like that, but that's a possibility that could happen with what's happening, because it's been kept from people so long, and revealing it is going to be a process to bring the least amount of shock to people, you know.
For sure.
Yeah.
And also, what kind of boots on the ground is there going to be security wise to calm things down? Is the secret space program going to come down with assets to back people up, to back up the police? Um, what's going to happen in terms of that? Because I'm sure people are likely to riot. People will need to be calmed down and reassured that everything will be okay. So, what kind of security will be protecting people? That's something that's also of concern to me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Trump and the government have, a plan for that too. And like you said, I do think it involves bringing this out the secret space program, and some extra security being put on the ground to bring order from chaos. Because a lot of people, the order from chaos quote, can be taken both ways. You can be the evil side and be like, oh, I'm going to create order from this chaos, or you can be the light side and be like, okay, I'm going to create order from the chaos that you guys created, the dark side, because you guys created the chaos. So we're going to create order from it, from the chaos that you created. And I believe that, like you said, there will be some secret space program, revealing, and that there'll be some order restored from that.
I hope so. And
2018 is going to be a year. I believe that there's going to be a lot of stuff getting revealed.
yeah, we're going to rock it. Literally rocking it. Um,
Yeah,
and I believe having more of these interviews, regardless what's behind us, whether it's a furnace, shelves, people walking by, noise issues, we're just putting stuff out there. We're not sitting in some studio with perfect lighting, perfect hair, makeup, perfect sound. We're just people at home, at work, having a discussion. We're not going to be looking perfect for this. It is what it is. It's like this.
Yeah. No, I hear you, but as far as I'm concerned, on the higher dimension, we're having a conversation on a train in a luxurious hotel in a garden. So,
Exactly. And it's one of those things that's it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just as long as the information is out there and we can hear each other and we can, it's not about that at all. Um, and something interesting, usually I don't watch Cosmic Disclosure, but a friend of mine does have a subscription. And what they did, I've told them about the secret space program, the interplanetary corporate conglomerate, and the smart suits. They've actually seen one of my presentations where there's a woman wearing a silver suit, and that suit actually removes biological waste because it's nanonite technology that makes up the suit, the microfiber of the suit. And my friend, she's like, wait a sec, I just saw one of the Cosmic Disclosure shows with David Wilcock and a guy named Emery Smith, and um, they're talking about the wet rooms, which you've told me about, and the draining systems. Now there's this article by David Wilcock saying that because Emery Smith has talked and he's mentioned the smart suits, which she saw in my presentation. She's like, and the suits act as camouflage to reflect weapons fire. She's like, that sounds awfully similar to what Emery Smith described. And she's like, here's a free episode of where they talk about the wet rooms. And I'm like, oh, cool. You just confirmed one of my things that I was just talking to Rochelle Standenforth about the drainage systems and hole in the wall where the blood drips in these wet rooms or torture chambers. So my friend's like, free episode of Cosmic Disclosure, whichever episode that was, I don't remember. I know it's season 9. So, and Emery Smith came forward. Now he's in the hospital. He was attacked. He was robbed. He was in a car accident. His dog was abducted. All of his stuff was stolen. His house was destroyed, and all the crystals and the huge crystal emitters in his house were destroyed because he was running some kind of an experiment. So it's like he was totally smashed. The poor guy's in the hospital.
that's the seriousness of what we're dealing with, and I mean, we obviously have some divine protection for us to be talking right now.
Yeah,
I
even
mean, that's really the reality of this, because I have, get shot with energy weapons all the time, and have people outside my house all the time, and they do as much as they can do to stop you from saying what you're saying, and unfortunately there's people like who you're talking about that kind of stuff happens.
Yeah, and my friend was shocked. She sent me the episode, and I guess Emery Smith ended up in the hospital a week or two later after the episode was filmed. And just because he talked about wet rooms, just because he talked about smart suits, just because he talked about dissecting 3,000 ETs, that's what was in the episode. They abducted his dog, they rammed his car, they made him sick with pneumonia, they ramshackled his house, destroyed his stuff, his crystals, whatever experiment he was working. And I believe he was working on zero-point energy source, something with zero-point technology, anti-gravity perhaps. Because crystals, he had huge crystals in his house, and those act as energy emitters. That is zero-point energy crystals, huge crystal emitters. So the fact that this was done to him, and they left a huge bullet that can take out a rhino, like a huge bullet, in his kitchen or somewhere near in his house. So that they clearly sent a message to him not to disclose any more stuff about the secret space program, about what the shadow government and military industrial complex are doing as well.
Yeah, that's pretty serious stuff. You know, if I don't think I won't ever have to deal with that.
Me neither, because people think I'm just a crazy girl telling stories.
Well, there's going to be someday where the our we're going to be definitely sought for the our truth, you know, that we've been involved in.
Yeah, and my female friend believes that somewhere out there there is an interplanetary corporate conglomerate asset running around in a smart suit that actually uh, protects you, like helps you to not have biodegradable waste. Like it helps you to not go to the bathroom while you're wearing the dang thing. So she believes that that information is true. She saw it in my presentation. She's like, whoa, that I want one of those suits. And I said to her, well, it's off world, it's on Mars, it's on the Mars basis. We don't have access to this nanotech suit technology yet, but it's out there. Somebody's running around in it, being protected by it. So, and it acts, that suit makes you invisible as well. It can make you invisible. It protects you from bullets, camouflage, and also biodegradable waste. Because when you're out in space on a planet, you're seeing action, you're on a mission. When are you going to have time to go to the bathroom, really? To squat down and just go for it?
Yeah. You're going to be engaged. So, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So it's like there's no time for the bathroom when
Yeah,
you're.
no, that's a good point. That is actually a really good point,
So
you know?
this silvery suit, and it also, it works like, it makes you look like you're wearing different clothes as well. So you're not actually, it doesn't look like you're wearing the suit because it can mimic different clothing, different colors, textures. It doesn't have to look like that silver suit, nanotech suit. It could take on different appearances, clothing too.
That is really cool. I'm gonna have to look at that video and remember because I could be wearing that all the time, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and not even knowing it. So I'm going to definitely check that out because now that you mention it, I think that I probably have had that on.
Well, you did mention that you remember some kind of a silvery bluish suit and a white
Yeah,
suit, because the
yeah.
ICC does have
Ooh, that could.
white suits, armor, scaled armor suits.
I mean, what you just described could have been what I experienced last night as the white armor that the Alliance members had on.
Well, coincidentally, the cyborgs, the super soldier cyborgs, they wear these white armor scaled suits. They're
That was them. That was them. That had to be them. You know, it had to be them.
it's they're the suits are biologically fitted to the person wearing it, to the asset, to their biological metric system, to your body, to your system. So you're basically, that's your personalized suit. Nobody else could wear it because it has your biometrics, your biological codes. It's fitted to the cyborg wearing it. So, and cyborg is human slash cybernetics technology mixed in together, which makes almost perfect transhumanism.
Yeah, like the Ghost in the Shell. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, have you seen that movie?
Oh, I saw the original anime, and I
Yeah.
saw the movie with Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, "Oh shit!" I was just, I was like, "This is exactly the same tech that is used in for being a super soldier. This is a cyborg, you know, and that's what a super soldier is." So,
Oh,
you know, with
did you see the
what
movie Guardians? Not Guardians of the Galaxy, but the
I did,
Russian
the
one.
Russian one. Yeah, I did. I saw that. I saw what you saw.
The smart suits. They were wearing those smart suits, super tight fit suits, not like heavy duty armor, but nanotech fiber optic suits that deflect bullets, that make you invisible, um, that make you super strong. And the added bonus, which they haven't disclosed in the movies, is that it controls bio waste.
Yeah, that would take away from the grandeur of it all.
Yeah, that's the giggle word. That's the giggle factor where people are like, "What? It does what? Makes you from going to the bathroom? You're crazy." And they giggle. So, And
Yeah.
I when I was talking about it with my friend, because she called me on the presentation, she said like you snuck those smart suits in, and I started giggling crazily. I was like, the smart suits, they're like they prevent you from going to the bathroom. They recycle your biowaste. So I was giggling, and she was like laughing her head off because she we both think it's funny. Well, I mean, it's a convenient thing that technology does, nanotech, but we thought it was hilarious. Like we still laugh about it. I want to giggle now because it's giggle worthy, but
I know I'm giggling. I'm giggling inside.
it's
It
like
is because I'm just imagining myself in a combat scenario. Just you're going all at it, and you're just gonna whenever you have to, you're gonna just it's gonna happen.
you
You
just
know?
you don't have in the military you don't have time to drop your pants and go to the washroom. You hold it in until your spec op is over. Sometimes
Yeah.
you have to hold it in. You don't have the luxury of going to the washroom and breaking cover, so you just don't.
You, I mean that reminds because I mean I now think with what you're saying how good that would be for a soldier because in when I was in Iraq, in a firefight or in a mission, it's like, in if I was in the middle of a firefight, I would not be thinking about taking a shit. I would definitely want that taken care of. So
Yeah, and
that's something that you say that.
well, yeah, well, it's practical, and they had me stuck on the Mars orbital space station platforms. And when you're just you're sifting through a lot of communications information, or you're on one of those bases, you can't be missing crucial data. Like the data is streaming, coming in, you're sorting through it. So they had me wearing that suit for hours, just sitting in a chair looking at information and taking in all the communiques coming in and sorting it, putting it all in all the databases. That you're like, you cannot leave your workstation and actually go to the bathroom. You're put into that suit and it takes care of your bodily needs. Like I know that sounds crazy, but that's what they had me in. That one of those white suits, and I even found a picture in a lady in a nanotech suit on in some kind of a specialized communications room, and there's a huge bio wall behind her, like trees in glass domes. And I worked in a library, in a university research library, where they had those bio walls, like huge wall with plants. So it's like real life meets that secret space program life on Mars.
Yeah, that's I'm recognizing the correlation of lives. It's definitely it's pretty synchronistic.
Like I worked in a research library in a university, and I did a lot of research. I would sit for hours on end with my butt parked to the chair, just sifting through information to put into databases on student records. And what did they have me do in the ICC Mars bases? They had me sort through incoming communications, decrypt, encrypt it, put it into the databases. And I like nature, and I like biowalls when they're not stinky, when they actually work properly. So that seems to be like I worked in places where with huge trees and plants and stuff on walls.
That no, that actually this is gonna be something because what I found out, what I was a record keeper for I'm a record keeper for Kruger, and that makes sense with what you were saying with just sitting there sorting through information. One time I actually had a memory where I was sitting in lotus position and I had an interface on my head, and it was relaying information to me, and obviously we're just taking all this information, and that would make sense. I think that you're obviously like a record keeper too, or that's what Peter told me, record keeper, but the way he says language is probably like what you were telling us. A record keeper could be a analyst,
Yeah,
pretty much.
yeah. And what they do in the 3 letter and 4 letter agencies is they have analysts working almost 24/7 on interpreting data, communications, all kinds of stuff, classified, declassified, and you're looking at multiple sources of information coming in, and in various databases. So you're multitasking. You're not just focusing on one report, one project. You're multitasking and doing multiple things at once. So your memory has to be sharp. You have to be sharp. And I've had a Neuralink implants, so my cognitive memory has been damaged because I had the implants removed. Now I have a lesion on the left hand side of my brain in the white matter. So sometimes my memory is sketchy these days, sometimes.
Yeah,
And
well, it's not really showing that much, but
well, thank you.
yeah,
I have photographic memory. I've had it since childhood. And usually I'm very good at remembering things, but sometimes I'm like, what's that person's name? What am I supposed to be doing? Did I wash my hair twice today or what? Sometimes because I've had the implants removed, that lesion acts up and it's painful and it short circuits the memory. The neurons and the axons. The information just doesn't go as fast as it should, and the electrical charge doesn't get to the neurons on the axons, and there's demyelination where the protective myelin sheath fiber that's on your neurons axons, it wears off and causes demyelination, and that happened from the implants being removed, the Neuralink ones. So I'm like, when is this going to heal over? It's basically like a lesion is like a scar. It'll heal like
yeah.
in a year or two.